Recording.
What are you calling about today?
Okay, so just hold on a moment, please.
Yeah, absolutely.
The police, so, okay. So I left my house this morning from 7:45 and came back at 10:50. And I noticed that things seemed different from the way I left them. And then I noticed that the woman who had moved into our house against my mother's wishes, my mother's the house owner, must have come and removed her belongings. Or to be more precise, her belongings are now gone. And of course, we wanted her gone, but not to come when I wasn't here. We had told her to come at a prearranged time, and if she had done with police, in fact, and if she had done so, I would have been standing 3 feet behind her to make sure she did not take anything of ours. I then realized that she has taken some things of ours. So in particular, there was a white sack that I am pretty sure I left by my mother's dresser, containing what my mother always referred to as her most important papers. It also contained my mother's passport, but my passport wouldn't have been the most important thing in there. So that is now gone. I thought maybe I put it somewhere else, under a bed or something, or in a closet, but I've searched the closets, I've searched under the beds, and I'm pretty sure I didn't move it anyway from the place where I left it, and it's not there. So can I say that Mary Ho herself took it, or someone else, like my brother? But I cannot say, but I suspect it was Mary Ho, because I don't know who else would have known exactly which things were hers. And also, this is an innocuous point, but the calendar on our kitchen table was also taken, and I know that a general mover would not have bothered to take a calendar, a used calendar, from the kitchen table, but somebody who was trying to remove evidence that she had ever been here, because her name was on this calendar, might have taken it. But now it's gone from just wanting to report a nuisance to wanting to report an actual theft, because I don't know how we'll prove it or how we'll get it back unless she decides to be nice. But my mother will, it'll tear my mother up if those items are not returned.
Okay. Is your mother there?
No. So it's a complicated story. I can tell you an incident report that this relates to if you want. And the complicated story, and people tell me that they haven't seen anything like this before, is that my brother Christopher moved this woman Mary Ho in, probably on January 19, against my mother's wishes. Mary Ho, we did not, the last day Mary Ho was here was the following Saturday, January 28th in the afternoon, but her belongings stayed here until this morning. My mother told Mary Ho on Sunday, January 29, not to come back. Mary Ho was not present in the house at the time, but to arrange a time to pick up her belongings. And then getting to your question, on January 31st, two of my brothers, Christopher and Anthony, came with Monroe County Sheriff's deputies and Mary Ho and someone else whose name is not in your report for some reason. And they wound up taking my mother, although I didn't realize it at the time. And since then, my mother has been put in some unknown facility, which the Monroe County Sheriff will not tell me the location of or name of. But that's not why I'm calling. That just explains why my mother is not here. So a lot can be done when you kidnap somebody, although your colleagues will dispute that my mother wasn't kidnapped. But that's why all this can happen, because my mother is not here. But my question is also, whoever came into this house, how did they know I was gone? How did they know how long I'd be gone? Are they somehow monitoring me? And if so, how?
Well, I can tell you that they called this morning for an assist to retrieve property.
Okay.
That they know that you left because they just happened to drive past you as you were leaving. So it's not like anyone's tracking you or following you or watching your movements. It just happened to be a coincidental thing.
Okay. I usually I'm asleep at 7:50, 7:45 in the morning. So are they driving by every day at 7:45? It would be a waste of their time most mornings.
No, they had come with the intentions of having us stand by while they retrieve property.
So they should have called me so I could stand by.
Okay. Does Mary lives there, correct? You already said that Mary lives there?
She does not. She came probably on or after January 19, and the last day she was here was the afternoon of January 28, which is 8 or 9 days. And on January 29, my mother told her not to live here, not to return, and to arrange a time to pick up her belongings. She never replied to that. So you know about the incident report this is related to, which is CR #23-015704. But since you were there, or some of your colleagues were there, great. There's a white sack that someone took, and that should be returned.
158 Richmond.
I'm sorry, can you say that again? I was just listening.
Yeah, so I'm glad that somebody was there. I still find it hardly legal that you could be there without my being informed, or why you would even allow it, because I don't see why I can't be here, especially if sheriffs are here. The whole point behind having sheriffs here when I am here was so I could watch her, and yet no one could make any allegations. But the white sack that was in my mother's bedroom by the telephone needs to be returned immediately. Those are my mother's most important things, and we need them returned before Mary Ho can say she never took them or doesn't have them.
6-7, I don't think that. I'm sorry, could you say that again? I was just getting another call.
Yes, the white sack that Mary Ho took that was in my mother's bed, the room that Mary Ho put my mother in, by the telephone needs to be returned. It consists of my mother's most important papers. It also contains my mother's passport.
Okay.
Any comments or notes on the request for info?
So, as for the property that you're speaking about, that is your mother's property, so she's going to have to
So you see how this works? She has been kidnapped in a facility where they will not tell me where it is. She has short-term memory problems, but of course, if I could reach her and tell her this is what happened, she would say so. If I cannot reach her, she will not say so. And so this is how it's been working since they kidnapped her on January 31st. They've been doing all of these things, and then using the fact that I don't know where my mother is, and I can't reach her, in order to get away with it.
Okay. Do you have power of attorney, or does anybody have power of attorney in your family?
Well, Christopher claims to, but every lawyer I've talked to says the documents are invalid, including 2 sets of lawyers that I spoke with this morning. So Christopher, who does not live here, unlike me, actually probably had no right to be in this house, even though he claims to have that right.
And who is
Certainly Mary Ho did not have the right to be in this house.
And who is Christopher to you?
My brother.
Okay.
Of course, what he might do now is, since he is keeping my mother away from me, hiding her, which I don't even know how that is legal, quite frankly. It certainly is not medically necessary. He may try to coerce her into signing new papers that might be considered valid, although it would be coercion. But then I'd have to, have more lawyers fight that. But everybody I've talked to says the documents that Chris appears to be using are invalid. And Chris doesn't live here, so if he was here this morning, he didn't have the right to be here. And what's interesting is I was playing by the rules, because even though Mary Ho probably wasn't living here long enough to be considered a tenant, I decided, you know what, I won't change the locks unless I consult with a lawyer. But I could have. It takes an hour, it turns out. So I could have done that, and I just chose not to. They could have said, hey, we're going to come at this time to remove Mary Ho's things, and then I would have made damn sure that they didn't take anything else except what was hers.
Okay. Well, if there is a dispute over property, you're more than welcome to head over to the the courthouse there in Sweden and file for disputing property.
Okay, yeah. So I can see how this works, that you guys, I kind of wish, because you keep telling me it's a family matter, and yet you keep coming to my house. Why is that? If it's a family matter, stay out of it. You know, because you know as well as I do, I'm not going to get anywhere going to the courthouse, that she'll dump the stuff long before then. And to be perfectly honest, I can't even name precisely what was in that sack. I just know that my mother filled it up. And the passport was the only thing that I saw. So this is an incredible injustice that you guys are aiding and abetting. And when my brother's documents are shown to be invalid, then I really hope that we can hold the sheriff's office responsible as well. So yeah, no. So there's nothing that they'll let me do at the courthouse, and you know it. That I'll just say, oh, a white sack was taken. Well, what was in it? Oh, I can't really say. How far am I going to get with that? So you shouldn't have been here at all this morning. There's no logical reason. There's no legal reason that you couldn't have come when I was here. And you know as well as I do, they didn't just pass by chance, knowing that I was gone, because I'm almost never gone. All right, bye.
Alrighty, is there anything else
Covert off.